Hey, welcome back to another episode of MIA TV. Today we're going to have a quick nosy at some baits from Dynamite. Now, anybody who's been in the angling scene for any amount of time will know that Dynamite are synonymous with quality baits. They do a number of different things, from the match angling fraternity right through to the specimen carp range. Now, I'm more au fait with the specimen carp range, but that said, I have done a little bit of match fishing in my time and I have used a lot of the products here. So I'm going to put the bucket to one side because that's a real one to look at in a second, but let's start with the stuff at the front. So basically, what do we have here? We have a couple of ground baits. We have, this is the Swim Stim Carp ground bait, and it's in betaine green, and they also have then the Swim Stim carp ground bait in amino black. Now the amino black stays black, unlike some of the ground baits I've used on the market, where as soon as they hit water they go kind of purpley and then they go very light. This one stays dark black, and it's a great additive if you've got a situation where you're getting a lot of fish spooking away from very light coloured baits, very light coloured beds of bait. Using a bit of the amino black in with your ground bait, doesn't matter which one it is, will actually bring the whole base of the actual ground bait down to a very dark colour. I've used this extensively, and I've used this extensively, and I have to say I would be loath to go out fishing without them. I rate them that much. It's taken a good while for Derek to get in the Dynamite range, and I'm grateful that he has, because I have to say Dynamite, as I said, makes some absolutely superb bits and pieces. Now also they do a range of pellets, and here's just two of the range, and as I say, the range is extensive. I'm not going to have everything up here. You can go to the shop to have a look. These are the betaine green carp pellets, kind of matching similar to the ground bait, and these are the ever popular red krill ones. They also do robin red ones, and the robin red ones I have to rave about. They're really, really good. So there's a couple of pellets. Now they come in anything from these sort of very small micro pellets. These are the 3 mils, they do 2 mils. And then these are right up to the, I think these are 2.5, 3. No, maybe these are more. These are 6 mil pellets. What am I thinking? Yeah, these are 6 mil pellets. So they have a wide variety of pellets in the range, different flavours and different sizes. Now what I tend to do is, at the beginning of my season, I tend to buy a number of these in different flavours, different flavours and different sizes. And what that does is, as I introduce it into the swim, because there's a mixture of size of pellets and obviously then different range of actual makeup of pellet, they break down at all different rates and give off different leakages. So I find I'm catering for all the tastes of the fish in the swim at that particular moment. So it's just a little edge that I use, and I know a lot of my mates use it as well. Rather than just sticking to one pellet, I use a number of pellets in my mix when I'm fishing. So that's the pellets there. Now they do a number of tinned frenzied sweet corn. This happens to be the Scopex flavour. Anybody knows anything about Scopex, it's an absolute dynamite, forgive the pun, flavour. It does really, really well wherever it goes, and it does get the fish going mad for it. Now, just to give you an example, this is hand-picked corn. It's a much tougher corn than normal, and it's also then flavoured and sweetened. The tin here is €2.20. It has the sort of ring pull, so that when you use it, it's easy to get into. You don't need a tin opener. You can do it on the bank. Remember, if you're using any tins on the bank, please, please, please bring them home with you. Put them in the trash. Do not leave them out for all us other anglers to get a bad name about. So, as I said, although you can probably buy for about 60 or 70 cents a normal tin of sweet corn, this one's already pre-coloured, pre-flavoured. And as I said, once you've used it, you can then pop it into the fridge or the freezer, and it'll keep obviously indefinitely in the freezer. Luncheon Meat. Now, Dynamite have also produced this Luncheon Meat. Now, what makes this different to all the other Luncheon Meats on the market? Well, obviously something there is. This is not for human consumption. This has obviously been flavoured and tampered with to make it very resilient to coming off the hook. This is a great one for the match anglers if you want a very tough bait. And again, you know, it's not a cheap tin of meat. It's retailing around the €4 mark, but as I said, it's not like a normal tin of Spam. This stuff is designed for fishing, and the recipe is designed to last on the hook. Now, Getting into the things that I love myself, we've got a couple of things like Popups. Now they do a whole range, a myriad of Popups, from the fluoro types, which are these 10mm fluoro Popups. That's pineapple and banana, absolutely cracking flavour and colour combination. They also do Crave Popups, and you can also get then the matching boilies to obviously match your Popups. Crave has done really, really well, as has the sauce. It's one of the Terry Hearn specials, and to be honest with you, having a tub of them in your bag, it's one of those baits that you can cast out pretty much anywhere, and it's instant. Really, really cracking bait. Very, very popular. Now this is the stuff that really gets my juices flowing. I love ready-made particles. I'm a big particle user. Unfortunately, a lot of particles get banned from waters. I'm not going to get into the whys and wherefores of is that right or wrong, but let's just say if you don't have a particle ban on your water, if you can use these baits, then I suggest you do. Preparing particles is a pain in the rump, let me tell you, and I've just spent a lot of time preparing my own because I was waiting for these particular bad boys to come into store before I bought them. Out of preference, I'll use these. The great thing about these is you can open them, use what you need. As long as there's a lot of juice left in the actual container, they will last indefinitely. Again, you can freeze them down if you want to, fridge them, and the range is extensive. Now, at this end, we've got the typical hemp. Now, it's about €11, you get a huge big jar of the chili hemp. Now, it's a fair amount of hemp. You don't need much hemp when you're fishing, so something like that's going to last you a good while. Maize is another big winner, and rather than go down the route of actually preparing these are fermented and put in the natural sugars to preserve them. Now, moving on to my favourite bait of all time. If there was one bait I would have to use for the rest of my life, bar none, exclusively, it would be these, subject to them being allowed, obviously, and that's tiger nuts. Now, tiger nuts got themselves a bit of a bad name sort of in the 90s, purely because they were misused. The misuse is that people tend to go over the top with them and they don't feed anything else into the lake. Everybody's on tiger nuts. So the fish really aren't getting any major nutrition from these. They're a carbohydrate-based bait, and therefore they're just going to, fill a gap for a fish. They're not actually going to build up or repair muscle. So, as I said, I use these sparingly. A tub of these, they're not cheap. They're about 17, 18 euro a tub. They've got the mini tigers. They've got the standard big size tigers. You've got the chili tigers, and then you've got the chopped tigers. Now, the chopped tigers are one of my favourites. A bed of them out with a couple of tigers on a hair with a bit of cork to sort of critically balance it is probably one of the most devastating methods I've used absolutely anywhere. The great thing about tiger nuts are that when you're using them, they tend to be very much carp selective. Yes, tench will get on them, bream will get on them eventually, but they do tend to winkle out the better fish. Having them in different flavourings and different sizes, it allows you mix and match to the situation in front of you. As I said, tigers are banned on certain waters, wrongly so in my opinion, but that's up to the owners of the managed fisheries to allow or not allow. But I know for a fact if you are going down to Cork to fish the loch, tigers are one of the most instant attractive baits for the carp. Put these out on a hook and you will have runs all day. They do tend to be big fish selective as well. No, that's not to say you won't get plenty of small fish on, but they do winkle out some real lumps. My biggest from the loch was 24 pound. It was on a boilie, but it was tipped with a tiger nut. And I've been honest with you, I think the tiger nuts were what they were more focused on. Absolutely cracking. Now, if you don't want to invest in the size of tub at this size, then for $6.99 you can buy a tin of tigers, and they come in all the same sort of things. So these are the chili tigers, but they also have the chopped, the mini and the large tigers. And if you want a small tub of hemp because you don't want to use too much, then again, nice and easy to use in a tin with the ring pull, and that's €3.84 for the hemp seed. Now, as I said, please, if you're angling out there taking a tin with you, bring the tin home, because I'm sick and tired of cleaning up after mucky, messy anglers. The last two things I'm going to look at today are, this is a Crave liquid attractant. It's basically a dip for your boilies. You can dip your boilies in it, you can smear it over your hook baits. You can squeeze it into a bucket and put all your, a kilo of boilies in it, or you can actually even put this on top of particles. Very, very effective flavouring. And again, they've got these new competition liquids. These are for pellet and ground baits. This is the XL Super Strength Coconut Competition Liquid. This is for the match anglers out there. If you want to douse your pellets in it to give it a little bit of a hit, a bit in your ground bait to give your ground bait a very distinct aroma, then these are for you. Very, very good, and been taking a lot of the matched circuit waters in the UK apart. Now, I'm just going to move these over because the next item I'm going to show you is absolutely cracking. I love it. Now, it's retailing at €7.99. Now, there are other Dublin stores that are selling the same Dynamite bucket. They're charging $9.99, which is their prerogative, but we're cheaper here at MIA. Now, basically what this is, and this is what I love about it, it is a bucket, but it is a two-tier bucket. It has the normal area for your ground bait, your boilies, or whatever you're using, but it also has then this tray top that sits in, which allows you, now for me, this is what I'd be using this for. I'd have all my PVA stick mix down here, and I'd have my PVA making equipment, my bait needles and everything on top, and this part here, so that I could just then literally get into, open the bucket, which is going to keep everything that's on the PVA front dry, open the bucket, and then I would literally be able to make up a load of PVA bags, put them into that, put the lid on tight, and then keep my actual dry mix down below separate. Or vice versa, what you can do is you can have your wet mix in the little top piece, your dry mix in the bottom, and then just make up as you need to. Great little idea, and as I said, $7.99 for a 10-litre bucket. I mean, it's a nice mute green colour, and even the logo in isn't too garish, so it's a nice piece of kit from Dynamite. This has been MIA TV, looking at some of the range from Dynamite. As I said, coming to store, there's a lot more than that's just here. Check it out and see what you think, and we'll see you soon.